Welcome back to Wheels on Reels. This will be episode 10 and the grand finale for the channel. Appreciate the support so far, and thank you to every one of you who's watched 1, 2, 3, or even all 9 of the videos so far. It really means a lot to me to have even the small views that I have. It means somebody out there cares, and I appreciate that, so thank you. This one will be probably the last episode on the channel, and of course that means it's got to be the best one, so we are going to do The Fast and the Furious, the first one. We're going to go through 20 cars. There's a lot more than 20 in the movie, but I felt that 20 was a good number. And because we're going through 20, I'm not going to do the text lists on the screen that I've done in prior videos. So just going to run through them, and then I will do a quick recap at the end of the video as well. But we'll start things off with the last car on the list at number 20, which is Vince's Maxima. It's the navy blue Maxima that he's seen in a couple of scenes, and it's just a really bizarre pick for a street racing movie. I mean, Maximas are slow in general, and they're also front-wheel drive, which is just less ideal. The scene where he leaves the barbecue and he does the front-wheel drive burnout just gets me every time. I just crack up laughing because it's preposterous. He's trying to be this big bad character leaving in anger, and then it's just a front-wheel drive burnout. So just an odd choice from Craig Lieberman, the technical director for the film, who picked all the cars, but nonetheless, it's in the movie, so we put it at number 20. At number 19, another questionable choice, we have Jesse's Jetta. It's the white and blue one that he rolls around in, and if you've seen the movie as much as I have, you've probably noticed by now that it has no brakes at Race Wars, just a fun little movie goof. But yeah, another one where it kind of doesn't make that much sense that it's in the movie. I mean, even VW has cooler cars than the Jetta, like the Golf, for example. So not really sure how this one made the cut, and it's in the film a lot, and just again a bizarre choice. So we'll put this one at number 19. At number 18, we have a Honda Accord that's featured at Race Wars. Same thing here, another front-wheel drive. This time it's a coupe, so a little bit better, but still not my style, not my speed, and we'll put it at number 18. At number 17, we have the car that the Honda Accord races, which is a Lexus SC400. I believe it's the 1UZ V8 in these, not entirely sure. Somebody might correct me on that, but either way, a cool Japanese coupe and fun car. Just compared to what's left in the rest of the film, doesn't earn a much higher place than this, and more of a grand touring car than an actual sports car, and just not necessarily my style. At number 16, we have Hector's Hatch. He's got a last name too, but he can't pronounce it. He pulls up to the first street race in the movie and tells everyone he's not cutting her loose tonight because he's going legit. Not entirely sure how that correlates, but anyway, it's a great build. It's a Civic hatch, which is obviously has some extra practicality to it, but again, it's a Civic, not necessarily the fastest in the world. I know there are some fast Civics, but very few and far between. It's just funny that it's Hector's and that it has the few famous scenes that it does. At number 15, we have the white Honda Civic Coupe that's in the very first street race where Brian meets Dom. Cool car, fun little design, but again, it's a Civic and it's not the black ones, so not my style. At number 14, we have the green Acura Coupe that's seen leaving the first street race. Again, JDM Coupe, so that's always nice, but front-wheel drive and just not my style. Right above it at number 13, we have the red Acura Integra Coupe that's in the very first street race as well. Same reasons, just not my style, so we'll put it here at 13. At number 12, we have a Toyota Celica. I know this is another front-wheel drive coupe, but growing up I played a ton of Need for Speed Underground and Need for Speed Underground 2, and the Celica was one of the most fun cars to rip around in that game, so it holds a special place in my heart. So that earns it the number 12 spot. At number 11, we have Brian's Eclipse that he does reverse donuts in outside of Dodger Stadium in the very first scene in the movie. Cool build. It's one of the most iconic movie cars of all time. Just at the end of the day, it's an Eclipse, so not really that much to write home about. It could have been a Talon, but for whatever reason, they skipped that and went with the Eclipse, so at least the Talon would have been all-wheel drive and been able to get off the line a little bit quicker, but still, you can't beat that livery, and it gets the number 11 spot. The More Than You Can Afford Pal Ferrari 355, which again, hilarious scene because nowadays a Supra is worth way more than an F355, but obviously producers didn't see that coming way back in 2001 when this came out. So cool car. As I touched on in the Triple X video, the timing belt service scares me, so not one that I'm dreaming about. I'd rather get a 360 or 430 if I'm getting a Ferrari. One of those with a stick would be awesome, but nonetheless, the classic 90s design is hard to beat. At number 9, we have Dom's 1970 Charger, one of the most classic muscle cars of any movie, and one that I've got 2 models of, plus a Lego set, so very cool car, very near and dear to me just from growing up with this movie, but it is a 1970s muscle car. At number 9, we have Dom's 1970 Charger. No surprise here, this one makes a couple appearances in the movie. I'm sure you saw this one coming. It's the classic muscle car, kind of made famous by Dom in these movies, and a huge part of the franchise. He drives one in every movie that he's in, whether it's a 70 or somewhere around there, or a Challenger or Charger, and it's a beautiful one at that. Just I'm much more of a JDM guy, and so that's where we'll be heading as we get through the top picks here. At number 8, we've got the black Civics with the green underglow from the Truck Heists. You can't be my age and have seen this movie and not just have loved these cars and have dreamed about driving under a semi the day you got your driver's license. I mean, the first time I drove next to one, that was all I was thinking about. Just, could I fit? No, I definitely couldn't. How did they film that? That's awesome. One of the coolest movie scenes and action sequences. Pretty awesome. So, kind of an iconic car here, and I know it's a Civic, but the fact that it is the Heist Civic just bumps it up that extra notch. At number 7, we have the Racer's Edge Ford Lightning. Can't beat the practicality of a race truck. And I've seen replicas at SEMA and other car shows, and they just look awesome no matter what car they're towing, whether it's another movie car or even a McLaren 675. Whatever it is, it's great to see these out in the wild, so I'm glad they're still coming around. And it's the easiest movie car to replicate because you just need a Lightning, and then you can slap some Racer's Edge decals on it. So, gotta appreciate that. At number 6, we have Johnny Tran's S2000, which if you really had more than 100 grand under the hood of that car in the year 2001, that is seriously impressive and a woeful waste of money. There's so many better cars you could have had back then. But nonetheless, the S2000 is awesome. I would love to drive one. They seem like super fun cars. From what I hear, the handling is awesome, and that's probably my favorite characteristic of a car. So would love to wheel one someday, and it earns the number 6 spot. At number 5, we have Letty's 240SX in the kind of burgundy-ish color. I love 240s, 180s, pretty much anything on the Nissan S chassis. I love the drift cars like that. They just seem like so much fun. Unfortunately, the S chassis cars have all been hit with the drift tax, and now even a shell is like 10 grand, so I think those are pretty much out of reach for people like me, but still cool, and I love seeing them at Cars and Coffee, especially clean ones, which are harder and harder to come by, but it's also fun seeing the clapped out LS swapped ones with crazy Duraflex body kits and things like that. Would love to rip one someday if I can find the right deal, but nonetheless, that earns the number 5 spot. At number 4, we've got the white RX-7 from Race Wars. RX-7s are always going to hold a special place in my heart because it's the car that I learned to drive stick in. Also has one of the best looking designs of all time. Not quite timeless because it does have the pop-up headlights, but outside of that, you can tell me it was produced today and I would buy it. The rotary engine is a little hit or miss, but if you take care of it and do the premix and all that, it'll last a long time. And I think that worry issue is probably a little bit overblown compared to the F355 timing belts. So for me, I'm not scared of owning a rotary someday, and I hope to get an RX-7 in the garage. Tried to stay in contact with the guy that bought my dad's, but no luck chasing it down so far. So if you've got a lead on an FD, hit me up. At number 3, we have the other FD RX-7 in the film. This one is Vin's in the first street race. When he opens the passenger seat and reveals the nitrous, that's one of the coolest reveals and probably the coolest nitrous packaging I've ever seen. And I think any kid that saw Fast and Furious 1 would want that in their car when they grew up, and I was no different. At number 2, we have Leon's Yellowbird R33 Skyline. First of all, I wish Leon had a bigger role in the later films, or any role at all. He was one of my favorite characters in the first one, and was sad to see him go. But the R33 Skyline here is awesome. It was right when it had come out. It's this gorgeous yellow color, and it's one of those if you know cars, especially in 2001. I think the Skyline's kind of attained mythical status after the movie, but now to go back and rewatch it and realize that that's what Leon is driving, it's a cool moment, and I'm glad I picked that up and noticed it. So that gets the number 2 spot. And at number 1 for the Fast and the Furious, of course, it's Brian's Supra. This is the movie car of all movie cars, and anybody my age who watched Fast and Furious and is a car guy loves these cars, loves seeing replicas of them at car shows, and it's just a classic. The Supra in general is awesome, but the noises they make, the speed they bring to the table and can bring to the table, and I think at this point the 2JZ has attained mythical status, so pretty cool to see that as the hero car for the film, and would for sure be the first pick for my garage if I had my choice of the cars in this movie. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the support over the last couple of videos. Just to go back through really quick, I'm going to read this one, sorry. At number 20, we have Vince's Maxima. 19, Jesse's Jetta. 18, the Honda Accord from Race Wars. 17, the Lexus SC that races the Accord at Race Wars. 16, Hector's Civic Hatch. 15, the white Civic in the first race. 14, the greenish tealish Acura Coupe that flees the first race. 13, the Acura Hatch that's red that's featured in the first race. 12, the Toyota Celica from Race Wars. 11, Brian's Eclipse. 10, the Ferrari F355. 9, Dom's Charger. 8, the Heist Civics, the black with the green underglow. 7, the Racer's Edge Ford Lightning. 6, Johnny Tran's S2000. 5, Letty's 240SX. 4, the white RX-7 that Letty beats at Race Wars. 3, Vin's RX-7 from the first race. 2, the Yellowbird R33 that Leon drives. And the winner for The Fast and the Furious, Brian Supra. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, cheers.